Depth charts are out. He's back, baby. We got the starting center back in the middle of that offensive line. What does it mean? Plus other surprises. Locked on Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. We've got Justin over there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season's around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today to get started. Start planning your future bets now. Today's episode, we are talking depth chart surprises. Jake Renfro is back, defensive line rotation, and a few other thoughts with the opening game a couple days away. If you're in the chat, let us know what's going on in your mind. Specifically depth chart. The two big things I wanted to hit on first, Justin. The first one is Jake Renfro listed back among the starters. I think we thought this was probably coming because he'd been practicing. Still, this is a massive thing. If he's fully healthy, single-handedly alleviates one of our biggest issues on this team right now.
Oh, yeah. I was not overly concerned with this to begin with. I was like, worst case, you just, as long as you have him back by week 2, so he gets a week under his belt before going to Alabama, I think he would have been fine. But the fact that they feel comfortable enough putting him out there for this game tells you that he must be in far better condition than we were expecting, which is a big deal. And especially seeing Kadenko on there too.
Can I tell you, the fan in me is still almost like just hold him out week 1. And now I would say this. I would also say offensive line continuity is a big deal. And I also know players get a very limited amount of games they get to play in their lives. And I would never want to take that from somebody. Like, this is an opening game. It's under the lights. It's a big deal. He's battled injuries. If he's healthy, I know, I understand it. As a fan, I'm still like, can we just give him one more week to make sure? Because I'll say this, I'll be very frustrated if he goes out there and he tweaks something because he's not 100% and they're just trying to get him out there. I would disagree with that move.
My question is, and I think that's the part that we don't know, like, is he 100%? Because he very well could be. I mean, I don't know the severity of the issue. Maybe it was just banged up or bruised or whatever, and he had a week or whatever, a week and a half to kind of get back to it. Seemed like after about a week, they were doing some light stuff with him in terms of sets and stuff like that, which means that it wouldn't have been too terrible because, let's be honest, he wouldn't have been on the field if there was anything there that they were truly concerned with. But I think, yeah, I mean, this is not, you can't afford to lose him early. He is so important for us. I know we don't feel overly optimistic about us winning games against any of the big teams that we play, but it's off the table if he's not the guy in the middle. Like, you're not winning those games with Kadenko, and that's no, shade towards Kadenko. He's a fine player, but he's not a guy that competes in that level of game. Like, he can be fine for playing, Illinois or Minnesota or whoever. He's not going to be fine playing against the future NFL all-pro guys or Pro Bowl type guys.
Yeah, Renfro's a massive piece. Think back to 2 years ago. Think back to Mordecai's season. Wow, how the offense looked different when Renfro was under center against LSU in that bowl game. Everything looked better. Think about the experience he's had as the quarterback of that offensive line, calling protections. Even if he just average across the board, physically, athletically, the experience that he has as a center's one of those spots where your intangibles play up. It's like a catcher in baseball. The intangibles play up. He's a massive part. And listen, I'll just be honest. Like, offensive line depth has been my biggest concern for this team. If he's healthy and ready to go and he's ready to rock and roll, that's amazing. Hell yeah. Then we got through camp pretty well, considering the Haywood injury had already happened. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think the offensive line I think we feel comfortable with it, not confident. Like, I don't look at this and I'm saying this is going to be a awesome line. I do think there are pieces that I really like. I think that interior 3, if Renfro's healthy, is a really strong interior. And I think Malman's is a above average right tackle in this league. I wouldn't call him a star, but I think he's an above average right tackle. I think Heinsohn can be exactly what you need for a fill-in, but I don't think you can take more than that. Like, I think he can be adequate, which is fine. He's going to get beat a few times here and there. You just have to hope it's not in a moment where you really can't afford it.
Yeah, can he be a Joe Huber type? I mean, not the same player, but a guy who can be kind of a utility type
I
offensive
think so. I think he's a guy who's going to get stronger as the season goes on. Like, you're not going to see him be an all conference type guy, but I think he can be a solid left tackle, which I think we need to look at Wisconsin over the last 6-7 years from an offensive line standpoint. We really haven't had anybody who was an absolute stud at left tackle. I think we felt Haywood had a chance to be that, and I still feel that way. But, you play the hand you're dealt.
Matthew says Mandel's going to hurt some people.
Yeah, he is.
That's the point of having a guy like Mandel. I think that's what he's going to bring to the game is the physicality. Expect a couple times this year where not to spend the entire show on an offensive line. Expect a couple times where he's going to get flummoxed in pass protection.
Yeah, he won't be perfect in that. He's going to be a work in progress.
But he is going to drive some people up the line of scrimmage and bury some dudes in the run game.
That interior group is going to be responsible for some big runs this year. They're going to flat out plant some people during the season.
Let's move to the other one. So I think Renfro was super exciting, being healthy. I think if anybody looked at this depth chart, maybe the biggest surprise, I think there's a couple potential surprises. I think maybe the biggest surprise, especially considering what we were talking about in spring and summer, Justin, it's Chris Brooks on the starting line at receiver, opposite of Vinny Anthony, and Jaden Ballard with the twos. Two-part question. What was your surprise level on that, and how do you read that situation?
I mean, you and I in the spring already were talking about that we thought Brooks was going to play a lot. I don't take too much away from it. I think I've always felt that this is going to be on both offense and defense, a team that was going to be heavily comprised of packages. I do question how much what it means about Ballard, because obviously he wasn't lights out in camp. Like this was his opportunity. Like he's going to have to prove that he deserves more. And it's telling to me that he didn't take this position and run with it walking into that room. Hopefully it's a wake-up call a little bit for him and he tightens up, but he needs to get it together for the season now, because as much as I like Brooks, he does cap the offense a little bit with what his ability level is.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing I would start with. Chris Brooks is not an elite athlete, explosive athlete, I should say. He's a very physical player.
He's a brute. Yeah.
He's a brute. He's a strong player. I'll tell you this, Chris Brooks is a guy who can block linebackers. He can block some middle-sized linebackers, not giant guys, but I saw it in Platteville.
There's some Lance Kendricks in him.
There's some Lance Kendricks. We mentioned Jordan Frederick before the show, but it does, if he's out there, it does kind of eliminate deep threats on that side of the ball. It does allow a safety to creep in. It does maybe even signal some tendencies for our defensive coordinator. Like they're not going to do certain things with Chris Brooks out there that maybe they could do with Jaden Ballard.
Yeah.
I think it lowers the ceiling, to your point, a little bit. Now listen, Jaden Ballard's still going to play. It's not like Jaden Ballard has been sent to a gulag and Chris Brooks is going to get 100% of the reps. But I think we hoped if this team was going to hit its ceiling, I mean, we're talking pie in the sky, absolute ceiling. I think Jaden Ballard was a bigger part of that potentially than what it's looking like right now, if that's fair.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that we should take anything away from Eugene being listed under Vinny rather than on that side?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a really good question.
Because if there was a player that I thought would be breaking into this, if Ballard wasn't the guy, Hilton's the guy that I think is most likely to take this and run with it at some point this season. Because I think, other than Vinny, he's the receiver we heard the most about in this preseason as a receiving threat.
I think
Hilton was like a daily.
I think he's really interesting. And I think he might be, to your point, maybe the biggest beneficiary of all this, of Ballard not seizing that spot, really seizing it. Because let's be honest, Ballard at 6'2", 205, whatever he should be a pretty physical blocker too. He should have been able to seize that spot. We're just not physical.
There's no doubt. Like this, it needs to be put out there that this was a failure on his part. Like you had an opportunity to take this, and we would have, like, they absolutely would have showcased him if he proved that he was capable of making plays. He had a rough fall, and that is what is going to hurt him unless he can figure out a way to be productive in games to earn that trust back. But he's going to have to prove that he deserves the football.
And Nick says Ballard and Brooks will have complete opposite skill sets, both be useful in the team. Absolutely. There's going to be packages for both still. Ballard is still very much part of this thing. But I think coming out of spring, we came into fall thinking those are your two starting boundary guys, and it didn't work out that way. And also credit to Chris Brooks for the heart and the ability to block and the ability to be a really useful piece of this offense. You got to give him credit as well. Let's take a quick second here. We got a bunch more coming up. We're going to talk about that defensive line rotation, some shifting and moving around there, plus all of your comments and thoughts. Really do appreciate y'all. We have a loaded show today, but first, a quick second for our friends of the show over at Rugiet. Guys, I know you've probably heard of Viagra, you've heard of Cialis, you've heard of some of the treatments there, but if maybe those didn't work for you or you want to try something a little different, Rugiet Ready is there for you to kind of, help you be in those moments when it's time to meet. It's time to get ready for those moments. Rugiet Ready is that next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain, boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue. It kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. And effects can last up to 36 hours. So you can be ready maybe after Thursday night if the Badgers do well for several days after that point. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege. Use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for safety information. Now, let's come back into this. Justin, we got a bunch of comments, bunch of thoughts. I think defensive line rotation is interesting too, because coming out of spring, Charles Perkins was, maybe along with Allegro, maybe along with a few pieces, Austin Brown, the most talked about guy on the defensive front.
Yep.
He's with the twos, listed with the twos on the depth chart with Suggs ahead of him, Barton, a few other pieces. Brandon Lane, kind of a nice bounce back offseason in camp for Brandon Lane.
He had an incredible fall camp, and he seized that opportunity. I'm curious if Perkins let it get to his head a little bit that he was playing so well in the spring, and he just kind of didn't continue to stack at it in the fall. He's still going to be a part of things, but I think it's a big deal. And I actually like, in all honesty, I think I like Lane better mixed out there with Barton in the run sets, at least, because that's two massive bodies in the middle. And two guys, I don't think they're slouches in terms of movement. They're probably not going to be super disruptive, but I think they move well enough to be able to hold ground. And Suggs is obviously provides some pass rush in there for a guy who's going to be used in that aspect. But I think Perkins is still going to be in there plenty. Same with Peterson. I know Peterson's listed as a starter, as a co-starter with Barton, but I see him being a pretty big asset too. We have a lot more depth than I think we were expecting. Yeah, and think of this, a guy like Jamel Howard, who he flashed some in fall. Another big body. He's not even in this. Play some. He's just not in the 2 deep.
Like, dude, this team is so much deeper on that front seven. I don't know if people fully come to grips with that yet. When you look at the bodies here, and you mentioned it, we're going to play in Iowa this year, right? It's very easy to look at how we're going to deploy against Iowa with a Barton, a Lane, maybe a Daryl Peterson, and maybe a Walker on the edge. You're going to be 270 plus across that entire front line, and you're going to be able to match up physically. And then you go play maybe in Oregon, and then maybe it's Fearby Cheeks and Daryl Peterson, and you're a lot quicker, smaller, more agile. They have the pieces now. If Tressel can do it, if he can mix and match appropriately, they really do have the pieces to play chess now. And I think last year they're probably playing checkers.
I don't even know if we were playing that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
What's a game below checkers, like tic-tac-toe? I don't even know what it would be.
52 pickup.
I thought this comment, I think you started this one. By the way, a couple people saying they finally made a live. I know Badger Bill, appreciate you in here. There was another one higher up that said they finally made a live. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate all of you for being in here, for being with us in the off season. Y'all are amazing. That's why we can have the community that we have. It's because of people like you guys are in the chat. I saw you start one here. I want to throw this up here. Nick Flav, Crowdis not listed at the slot is interesting, Justin.
I think when we talk about the guy who they want potentially to take that spot at Ballard's not going to do it, it's probably Crowdis. Like they view him as a guy that they can send on that 9 route and just have him fly up the sideline and really draw defenders. Either one of those guys is capable of really getting behind somebody if they don't get hands on him. And I think that's a big deal for this offense, but I'm not totally shocked by that. I think he's more of a straight line guy, and I think that that's why you put him in that spot.
Yeah, he's so fast. Deco Crowdis. He is. Again, I talked about it with Rugiet, but I know not everybody watches every show. There was a play in Platteville where I think it was against one of the freshman corners, Justin, and Deco Crowdis pulled away from him like a jet ski pulling away from a pontoon. Like he's got burners. Now, I think the problem with Crowdis is he's small, right? So you have two guys in the slot ahead of you in Tretch and Tyrell Henry, who they like. And on the boundary, man, a guy like that, I worry. I mean, listen, I shouldn't say I worry. It's not like they're counting on him to be the guy this year. I think Big Ten corners might just push him off the line of scrimmage and not really let him get open.
I think you look at it and he's going to have a fairly limited route tree too, because you're not sending a guy that size across the middle.
Any thoughts on Clayton not being in the 2 deep? Because this actually dovetails into my next question, Justin.
None at all. I never figured he would. And based off of camp, the way things were playing out, I don't think anybody should have expected him to. There were bodies ahead of him that were taking reps to the 1. Most of Clayton's work was with the 2s. Now, he flashed a ton with that group, but what that told me was they would find opportunity for him. He was going to have a role, but he was not somebody that they were necessarily was as well-rounded as some of the other guys that they felt more comfortable with as parts of the 2 deep. And that's exactly what I thought. I figured he'd have a role, but I didn't think he was going to be a guy that they expected to go out there and provide massive reps.
Yeah, not shocking to me. I will say this, though. I will be surprised if he doesn't find his way. I think you and I are on the same page here. You've talked about it.
He's going to grow all season.
He's going to grow all year, and I think they're going to play him. Because I still think when you look at this edge group, I think outside of Cheeks, I don't think anyone else has the burst of a Nicholas Clayton. And if you can do something different, I think you find avenues to find playing time. There's power guys on this team, but he provides a burst that is unique to this team. I think it's unique to college football, quite frankly. That's why he is going to be as good as he's going to be. So I think he's going to find reps this year, Justin.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I look at him like this. When you play a super mobile quarterback, he's the type of guy you want in there because he has some room for error. If he misses, he's got the track down speed to be able to make up a mistake, whereas some of these other guys don't. Like Darrell Peterson's not running down a plus athlete at quarterback. No offense to him, but he doesn't exactly fly out there. Fierbury can really run. Cheeks can really run. Even Reiger runs pretty well for a tall, lanky guy who's got power. But when you look at guys who are just plus athlete, Clayton is the guy. Like he's probably the best athlete that we have on the edge. He's just inexperienced.
Brandon Lane, about time. Let's go. Yeah, I can't wait to see this front seven, man. I really can't. Reagan Brown says, Ryan, made alive. Spend my fall weekends in Baronet. Yes, let's go. I know exactly where you're at. Up in my neck of the woods. I absolutely love it, Reagan. Justin, I want to hit this question next, because I wrote this one down specifically. 5 true freshmen are in the 2 deep. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers with the great Justin Jolka. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches for just 24 hours. 24 hours. FanDuel's giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion, week 1 kicks off. This is your moment. So take a flyer. Take a flyer on your Super Bowl pick, which I'm probably just going to take the Niners because I'm an absolute homer. Whatever it is, visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day, August 26th, one day only. FanDuel, play your game, celebrate football. Justin, five true freshmen in the 2 deep. I think you could look at this a couple different ways, and people have already messaged me with both of those ways. Oh my goodness.
Not shocking.
This team isn't very deep if 5 true freshmen are in the 2 deep. Oh my goodness, this recruiting is a telling of the type of young talent on this roster. Look at these young kids cook. Where are you at?
I think it's a mix of both. I think you'd like to have, especially at the corner room, you'd like to have another guy that's probably experienced. I don't think it's a bad thing. Listen, under Leonard, when he was here, we would play young corners all the time. Like he was notorious for mixing and matching and throwing whoever out there who he thought would potentially provide good reps. And we had a couple seasons there where he would cycle through 3-4 guys as starters. And I think that's how you kind of feel with these guys, is that they're capable of providing some spot reps, but I don't know if you necessarily want to lean on them heavily. But it really bodes well for starting next year, where I think Agard's probably the guy you look at as your linchpin at corner, and then the young guys are hopefully ready to really compete for that other spot. As far as a guy like Clayton, we were high on him all along. Like, he's the difference between him and Nick Herbig is there's more depth in front of him. He'd be starting on this team if we were thinner at edge. Eugene Hilton, I think, is legitimately going to be a very, very gifted wide receiver by the time he leaves here. I think that he's the closest thing to Tune that we've seen since he was here, to Nick Tune.
I think it's a great comp. Yeah.
So I would be shocked if he's not extremely good starting next year, meaning providing the bulk, like our main guy next year. Him and Petit, but just saying.
Petit may need a year just because of the level of competition he's playing. He's awesome though. I should probably, I don't even know if I threw this out there. I should probably throw this out there. The 5 in the 2 deep that we're talking about, this is a failure on my part not to lead with that. It is Eugene Hilton, who we've talked about. It's Kairos Gaines, who I've always been really high on. Scott at the other cornerback spot. And then the 2 linebackers, Cooper and Mason Posa. So now they're
going to play.
Yeah.
Those 2, I will say this, Posa and Catalano.
Are they going to play because you also have Heiberger, who's listed as the backup to Tackett, and I think Heiberger's going to play. I don't think all 3 of those guys are going to play.
The way I look at this is that room is going to be really crowded next year. So it probably benefits you, Allegro and Tackett Curtis, to go out and ball out this year, because if you don't, you're going to be fighting for your life to keep those jobs, because I can tell you right now, those young guys, they're going to be really good, and they're going to push you. And Heiberger is another one of those guys. Like, he has all talent in the world, and now he's getting some reps underneath him. He's going to be ready to play next year, and he's probably got the best frame for that group.
It's going to be fascinating, because I think one of those freshman linebackers will get some time this year. I don't know if there's room for both of them outside of special teams.
I think it depends how much we cycle through, guys. It really will be interesting to see how that plays out. I could see us trying to keep it as well-rounded as possible against the teams that we can get away with it.
AJ34 says, I think Allegro is a pro. If he has a great year, he could definitely bounce.
He could end up having 130 tackles this year. It wouldn't shock me one bit.
If you're in the chat, we got a bunch of people in here, which is amazing. We will be doing a couple of quick things. Come join the Locked On Badgers Discord. It's free. Great content, Badgers stuff, but any other type of stuff too. Come join our Discord and talk Badgers and all other sports with us. If you're in the chat, give us the player you're looking forward to seeing most this Thursday. And Justin, I'm going to ask you the same thing. I put it on Twitter today. Who is the player that your eyes are going to go to first on offense and defense? Who are you going to be focused on?
Yeah, I think right now it's going to be Dylan Jones on offense, because I want to see if he can be a dude, and I think he should. This is a team we should run for 250 plus against. And then as far as on defense, it's Mason Reiger. I want to see that guy cause havoc.
Yeah, Matthew Anderson immediately went to Reiger. On offense, I almost want to say it's Davis Heinzen, just because I want to.
Because you're worried?
I'm worried. You know who it is, honestly? A couple players. I think Mason is going to be a guy a lot of people are going to be interested in watching, kind of based on everything we've talked about. I think for you and me, people who have been really in the weeds on recruiting, Emerson Mandel is going to be a player. There's going to be certain snaps I'm going to be watching, especially on the replays. If we bust out a 15-yard, some type of inside counter or some type of
where he just absolutely blows up the middle of the line.
I think he's a guy, and then. It's a cop-out, dude, but Billy Edwards. I want to see competent quarterback play, and I'm convinced Billy Edwards is going to give us competent quarterback play. And I'm
going to ask you a question,
please,
and ask me if I'm a homer or not on this one. But by end of the season, do you think Mandel gets a little bit of talk about being on one of the all-conference teams?
No. Oh, for 2 reasons though. Not necessarily because
No, that's fair. I was curious how well you think that this season plays out for him.
I would say no, because I think those teams are kind of popularity contests to begin with. And Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. They're just the sexy names. They'll get some names on there. Michigan. I think we'll struggle at times a little bit. And I don't think anybody outside of our circle really knows who he is yet. So
Sure.
I think it's a notoriety thing to some degree. But dude, his ceiling is immense.
To me, I was going to say I think he's going to be a little boom bust this season. I think there's going to be a lot of boom, but there's going to be some plays where he's a little rough at times. He's not perfect yet, but he is absolutely a man-child in there in terms of being able to move people around, and that's going to really play well. I think they're going to get more attention than you'd expect, simply because we are going to be more run-heavy than a lot of the league, and that tends to bode well for getting linemen on the all-conference teams.
I think that's fair. Listen, I think next year, for sure,
I think they would both.
A good season this year, and I think next year you're going to go into next year. I'd be interested if Brunner comes back. I don't know, quite frankly, but if he comes back, if you have that guard combo back,
he was my top guy for
yeah, I know,
draft picks. I said third round. I think he gets himself there too. Like, I think he has a chance to be an absolute road grader at the NFL level.
Listen, if you get a third round pick, go crush it in the league.
Absolutely.
I'll be curious if he does come back. And this is we're talking about a game this Thursday. I don't want to talk too much about next year, but it is easy to dream on an interior guard combo of Mandel and Brunner just mauling.
For sure. If he were to come back next year and Corey can be competent in the middle, I think you'd be looking at a very, very strong offensive line, and you start to feel a little bit better about your depth.
John says, great show on the Bucky Report last night. Justin again with the best record prediction for the second year in a row. I will point out last year didn't work out very well for him. But John's here for it. Listen, I'm up to nothing would make me happier than 8-4, 9-3. I mean, 9-3 I'd be over the moon, but I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I think, and we talked about it after we got off the show. I said there are 8 of these teams I think that we're going to be potentially better than. That doesn't mean that we win those games. Like, I gave us the prediction of a win because I think we're going to be better than the teams. There are 4 of those games probably that can turn on a turnover, and that's who decides who wins those games. So Wisconsin's going to have to play lights out and clean.
A couple other quick depth chart notes. I don't think these were big surprises in any stretch, but there was for a period of time some competition between Daniel Neal and Hunter Simmons at quarterback. Daniel Neal is the number 2. There was kind of a quasi kicking competition, although I never really bought it. Vacos is the kicker. Tyrell Henry at punt return. I think sneakily, I think sneakily that could work out really well. He was
good at Michigan State.
Yeah, it's interesting when you watch him and Tretch. For people who haven't seen a ton of Tyrell Henry, Henry's much more explosive north-south. Tretch is better in space, like he can make people miss. Henry north and south is really quick.
He accelerates better.
Which, as a punt returner, if you catch a gap, he's a guy who could gap one as a punt returner.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him there. Justin, man, any other thoughts from the depth chart that you saw that I didn't hit on?
Yeah, I think we pretty much have it covered. Looking at this team, we've followed so closely, and no offense to anyone else that's watching here, but we're probably a little bit psychotic about it to a point almost. We've talked to so many people about so many things. None of this was really a surprise. That does not mean that there weren't a lot of people that looked at this that weren't following as closely as us that were like, whoa, didn't expect to see that. And for the fans that weren't following it quite so closely, yeah, there's some really good young talent on this group. And kudos to the guys who really pushed their ways into it. I know Brandon Lane was in the chat earlier. You earned it, man. Go out there and ball. It's great to see you get the opportunity. You put together a heck of a fall camp. It's nice to see that you've earned that opportunity to get out there and be one of the starters.
Absolutely love it. Mitt James says he wants to see if Rico returns to form. Jesse Wilder says Agard's the guy he's going to be watching. Chris Hartz, Dylan and Emilio. I think there's some really good names out there that people are going to
be very surprised by Emilio.
He's good.
He's really polished, dude. He is. When Rico comes out and says that he's better than he was as a redshirt sophomore, I don't feel like that's lip service. I feel like that's legit. I talked about it when we got him, that his film, like he was incredible from a technique standpoint out of high school. And so, this is Dad. Oh.
All good either way, man.
No kidding, man. Well, thanks for joining. You can pass the word on to him.
All good, man. Last one. Let's end on this one. You have the line on this game is 17.5. Badgers minus 17.5. FanDuel line. Quickly in the chat, Justin and I will do a quick thought on this. Where are you going with that line, Justin?
I think we cover.
Okay.
I think we're going to be aggressive in this game because I think they want to get confident. So if they start rolling, I think they're going to keep going. And I do think from a running standpoint, especially, they're going to roll in this game. I think the running game is going to look good. I do trust this offensive line to be able to open some holes running the football, especially against a team like this. And I honestly think that from a passing standpoint, they'll be competent this year. They're not going to set the world afire, but I think they'll be more than dangerous enough for what we need in the passing game.
Justin says we double the line. Bucky wins big. Brian is taking the cover.
That'd be a heck of a win.
Adam's taking the cover. MVG's taking the cover. Looks like Benson's not taking the cover, which is fair. Will Hanna says taking the cover. Jim Mandel, who's also, man, we are so stoked to see Emerson. Yeah, so stoked for it.
Well, then Jim's heard me talk about Emerson a lot.
Yeah. Emerson Mandel for a while. So let me ask you this then. So you have him covering, several people in the chat have him covering. What would be the line where you would hesitate? UW minus 22?
I think I go as high as 24. When we start getting above that, I think I start to get a little bit like, there's stupid, late touchdowns and stuff that happen that throw that off. But I've said all along, I thought it would be a 3-touchdown game. I just think that they're going to cruise. I really feel much more confident in how competent the offense is. And I've been saying that since the spring, that they look like there's a fundamental understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. The offense looks like it has, like they know what they're trying to accomplish every time they go out there, even if it's not always perfect.
My gut was 42-10. I don't know if that's crazy. I just think we're due for it.
That's fair. Right? I wouldn't have a problem like that. One doesn't shock me. I don't feel like that's unreasonable.
I think we're due for it, man. I just think we are due for it. And I think a night game under the lights, this team has I think a real amount of leadership now in certain key spots on the defensive line, the offensive line, quarterback with Edwards, at the safety spot with Zachman, corner with Rico, DP. I just think there is enough veteran leadership, but also young, impactful talent. This team can beat up on
a guy like Reiger, who is about as intense as it gets. I love having a guy like that in the front seven, because that's a dude who's going to push people, and that's infectious. When you have a guy that's that intense, it gets everybody fired up, because that's a guy that's going to make plays. Like, I think we know that he's going to go out there and cause problems, and that's going to get everyone else rolling.
Mitch says he's with me 42-10. Nick has 34-0 pitching the shutout. Let's go.
We'll take it.
And Adam says, if you believe in Fickle, you got to believe they will dominate. I'm telling you right now, I'll end on this, Justin. I'll kick it over to you for final thoughts. And again, appreciate every single person in this chat. Thank you for always being a part of this community. Humbly appreciate it so much. If they don't come out, dude, after this entire off season of really feeling the frustration, doing 42 push-ups because of what happened last year, if they don't come out and push Miami of Ohio around, I think a massive red flag. And I think for those reasons they're going to, because they have to.
I would agree with that. I don't foresee a problem. I think the offensive line from a physicality standpoint is going to surprise us. So I do think that they're going to really push around, especially I believe the defensive tackles for Miami of Ohio are like 270 and 266 or something like that. Unless they're really quick, they're in for a world of pain.
Right.
Because interior across the line, we're every bit of 310.
Unless it's like John Randall,
exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Smo is 34-3. Will Hanna says Bo Dragon sent in his score prediction. Bucky 6, Miami 3. That's about right, probably. Mark says we win, but 14-17. So win, but not a cover. Mitch says I'd be happy with win, but hope we dominate. Jan Volk is at 35-10. And Hunter, I agree with this. If we don't score over 30 points, I'm getting concerned.
I would agree with that.
I agree as well. All right, Justin, thank you for jumping on. Kind of an impromptu show, but always appreciate you. Anything that I missed, any last thought as we wrap this up? You take us out of here.
Finally there, man. We're rolling into this one. Everybody good to go. Everyone be safe. Don't get too wild if this ends up being a good one. But hopefully we have a good Thursday night. They're going to be doing some cool things at the stadium. Enjoy those bracelets, the LED lights for life.
Yeah, I will be there. So if anybody sees me, obviously come up and say hi, please. I'll be with the fam. Other than that, there will be a call-in show before the game, probably Wednesday. So feel free to call in and give your score predictions. That's going to be a weekly thing, call-in shows. And then come join the Discord. If you haven't been on it, it's a lot. It's just a free community board, 100% free. We talk Badgers, but we also talk self-wins. We try to build each other up. We talk Badgers, but Packers, Brewers, whatever. Let's talk beer, fishing. It's all there. Just no politics, no Gophers. Everything else goes on Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk to y'all later.